Hey guys, this is Andy from Noctie, and today we're gonna go through the weekly scenario for week 19 of 2025. So let's take a look at this week's scenario. So our position comes from game 3 of the World Championship match in 2024 between the Chinese player Liren and the Indian player Gukesh Dommaraju. Our scenario starts at move 31 after black just played king e8. After a successful opening and a well-played middle game, Gukesh is up a piece against 2 pawns. So we see here the white has 2 bishops and a knight against black's bishop and knight. So here Gukesh is up a light squared bishop, but in return black has 5 pawns, 3 on the queen side and 2 on the king side against white's 3 pawns. So Gukesh has a light squared bishop in exchange for 2 pawns. And in addition he also has the bishop pair, which is an important asset in these types of endgames. However, converting this is still difficult and requires precise technique because black's pawns are connected and difficult to target. And on the other hand, white's pawns are all isolated and could potentially become targets for black. So the last move that Ding played was king e8. And let's see what Gukesh played in the game. After a few minutes of calculation, Gukesh played bishop g3. The idea behind this move is that we of course attack black's rook on h2, but before playing this we must look ahead and try to calculate what black will respond. The most logical move for black is to play rook h5, go here to a safe square while also attacking our pawn. And before we play bishop g3 we must look ahead and anticipate this move and also see if we have a good response for that or not. Let's see what Gukesh had planned. So after bishop g3, Ding did indeed play rook h5. And here Gukesh had calculated the beautiful move knight f3. With this move we protect our pawn. But here we see that black can trade off our knight and that will leave the g pawn unprotected again. So Ding did play knight f3. So now we have this position. And once again our g5 pawn is unprotected and black can grab it. So when Gukesh played the first move bishop g3, we had to have seen this position and also calculated whether black can take our g-pawn or not. And here it turns out that our g-pawn is very dangerous to take. It will be a so-called poison pawn. If black were to take, then we take on d7 and black's king take back, and we go with the other rook on d1 to give a check. Black's king moves away, and then we can put our bishop on h3 aiming the d7 square. So by giving up the g-pawn, white will have incredible activity and be able to infiltrate black's position. So instead, Ding chose to play bishop d4. Gukesh simply plays rook h1, offering a rook exchange, and here Ding grabs a g-pawn. But as we said, this pawn is poisoned and it becomes dangerous for black immediately. So Gukesh plays bishop h3, targeting black's rook. And here Ding responds with f5, blocking off the diagonal, and then we go after the other rook with bishop f4. Here Ding actually lost on time while executing his next move, rook h5. But the position is lost anyways because here white can simply play bishop f5, unleashing a discovered attack on black's rook. This was an excellent demonstration of technique by Gukesh, who later went on and became the current world chess champion. So now it's our turn to play against Noctie. Let's see how we do. It's time to play against Noctie. But first, I just want to mention our newest feature. As you can see here, we have added a scenario setting where you can flip the colors and try to play from the other side and also adjust the difficulty. By toggling these buttons, you can change the strength that Noctie is playing with. So this one is set at the default strength of rook 2, which corresponds to around 1900 in rating. Since this position is quite tough to convert, you can always lower the difficulty to match your level. And this of course also applies the other way around. So if you want to challenge yourself, you can always increase the difficulty of Noctie's play. So here, after we've seen the game, I'll simply take inspiration playing bishop g3. And here, indeed, Noctie plays rook h5, a very natural and logical move. And here I'm gonna go ahead with knight f3. Let's see what Noctie does. Okay, Noctie takes. So here it's actually important to take with the king, because if we take with the king and if black takes our g5 pawn, then the idea is to be able to play bishop h3 and then infiltrate on the d file. So let's go ahead with that. It's marked as a great move since it wasn't obvious. So Noctie takes the g5 pawn, and now we have a deviation compared to the game between Gukesh and Ding Liren. Now the idea is to take, black must take back of course, and now we give a check on d1 and grabbing the d file. Let's see which square Noctie goes to. Alright, Noctie goes to e8. One idea here is to play bishop h4. This of course attacks the rook, but more importantly, this is actually a skewer, because if we follow this diagonal, we see that we have a mate threat on d8. So this is an important tactical motive called the skewer. And if you're unsure about skewers, we actually have a theme giving you everything you need to know about the skewer with some great thematic puzzles that you can practice. I'll put the link down in the description. So here I'm gonna go ahead with this move and see what happens. Nice, Noctie likes this as well. We get a blue move, which is a great move. Very nice. So here I think Noctie is forced to give up the exchange, because otherwise we will have checkmate here. So the only move for black to try to fight on is to play bishop f6 and give up the exchange. So here we simply take the exchange. We are a whole rook up now. So from here it should be a comfortable conversion into a win. So I'll simply play bishop h3 with the idea of infiltrating on the d7 square. Here we can actually play bishop c8, targeting the b7 and a6 pawns. Since they are on light squares, black's bishop can't defend them. Alright, we simply grab a pawn. So from here on, it should be quite easy to win for white. We just have to make sure to not make any sloppy mistakes, but otherwise we should be heading for a clear victory. And here we'll have a checkmate in the next move. So let's promote, we get a queen, and here we have a checkmate. We managed to convert this, so now if we want we can use this amazing feature to adjust Noctie's difficulty and try to challenge ourselves. For example, we can take it up to queen 1, will be an estimated elo around 2200, and we can play this out and see if we can win. Another way to practice is that we can actually switch this position. So here we can, for example, try to lower the difficulty and see if we can hold on and try to defend as good as possible. As you can see, this new feature opens up a lot more possibilities when practicing with themes in Noctie. Alright, so that was this week's scenario. It was from a game from the World Championship match in 2024 between Gukesh and Liren. We have actually made a thematic study material covering the World Chess Championship with hand-picked games annotated and commentated from every World Chess Champion, all the way from Paul Morphy up to the current world champion Gukesh. And in that collection you can find the full game, so make sure to check that out if you want to see what led up to that position. I'll put the link down in the description. Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the amazing members in our Discord server. Our newly added feature where you can change Noctie's difficulty and themes and also choose to play from the other side was actually a user request from our amazing community in Discord. So I'll put the link to our Discord server down in the description as well. Feel free to join if you want to connect with other chess enthusiasts. And as always, thank you so much for watching and happy playing. Bye bye.